guys. The name is Mark, and I just want to address a couple of things here. And basically, it's going to go like this. There was another video that I had posted, and I'm talking about a resource-based economy, okay? And we don't need money, and even if we did need money, we don't need to borrow this money. We could simply print this fictitious stuff off, and we could just allot everybody a certain sum of money. And if these people, so say for example, we give every member of your household $2 million each, okay? More than enough. And basically, if anybody wants to make more money, well, they can just go make more money and everybody will have money to spend and this will constantly just circulate and that's that. Now, with the resourced economy, basically it's like we have a garden and we share our garden. That's a resource-based economy. So in an actual resource-based economy, you don't even need money. You can still have money if you want. Like if somebody wants a bigger boat and the $2 million allotment per person in that household doesn't facilitate this, this could help facilitate that, right? So that's that. That's how simple it is. Because all these people, they're always writing me and they're going, well, how am I going to live and stuff? I can't tell you. I'm not God. I am not inside of you. I don't know what you're capable of. I don't know what your strengths are, your weaknesses are. I don't know this. And for me to tell you what is right, it would be very unloving. I just espouse universal ideas, okay? Grace, I guess is what we'll call it, right? So everything is in context. And again, look at the words con and text. And then you have a spell, and then you look it up and it says it's a curse. And then you go to school to learn how to spell and how to curse. And they call it cursive writing, right? And then at the end of the day, did you learn your sentence structure? Because they might give you a death sentence or they might give you a prison sentence for life, right? So here's what I would like to espouse, okay? In this resource-based economy, we're using our resources. There's no need to chop down trees if we need paper. We can simply grow hemp and put that on paper. We could use hemp for clothes. All kinds of things. The solution is always simpler than the problem. So watch out for the context where everybody's telling you that, oh, the world is overpopulated and we don't have enough resources to feed the world and stuff. No, the universe has given us abundance, okay? Copious amounts of abundance. And then we say, no thanks, we would rather promote famine and death and war and I need more chickens in my freezer and turkeys than my neighbor does. And this all presents greed. We can all agree on this, agreed, right? We can all agree on this, that it prevents a famine-based system. And then people say, well, how am I going to live if I do what you do? I can't tell you, people. I'll be honest with you. I could starve tomorrow. I might not have a pot to piss in tomorrow. This is life. But one thing, rest assured, freedom has a price, and it might mean death, okay? And I would rather die trying to live than rather die trying not to live by being in a system that won't allow me to live. You follow me, people? Okay. So yes, this is perverse. Up is down and down is up and all that stuff. But somewhere you have to find this happy medium. And I'm going to tell a little story because this is probably an old story. And it goes like this. These people go to hell. And they're all sitting at this large, huge, long table. And there's all this food everywhere. And all these people in hell, they have spoons that are so long that if they were to grab the spoon, their arms aren't long enough and they can't get the spoon into their mouth to feed themselves. So they're all tormented by the fact that they're sitting there, okay? So the resources are there, but because of their greed and the fact that the spoons are too long, they can't reach their mouths to spoon feed themselves to put the food into their faces, right? So what happens is they're all tormented by this, okay? So now there's these other people, they all die and they go to heaven, and it's the same scenario, it's the same circumstance. They're all sitting there with these spoons that are 10 feet long and they can't use the spoon to spoon the food into their mouths. But the difference is because it's a resource-based economy, everybody else is using the spoons to feed everybody else. So even though it's a 3-foot spoon or a 10-foot spoon, the guy's scooping up the food off the table because there's copious amounts, but he's using the spoon to help feed the neighbor. You see where I'm going with this, people? Okay. So this is probably the most simple analogy that I can give you. We can allow ourselves to be tormented, yet we have copious amounts of abundance, or we can solve the problem because the solution is always simpler than the problem. If you listen to Man's World and you listen to the news and all that stuff, the problems are always so complex, and the context, now you're dealing with cons again in the text, and the message, right? The mess, the age of the mess, and they will have you believe that there's no such thing as a simple solution. I'm sorry, people, but that's a very narcissistic attitude. The solution is always simpler than the problem. You don't want to use gas and petrol for your cars? Let's use water. Hydrogen is fine. It'll work. It's been proven to work. That's that. We don't need to mine lithium out of the ground and stuff and produce more waste. And then when these cars are done, we're going to produce more waste with their batteries, and nobody will have the means to recycle this garbage because the lithium at that point will lose its charge and it'll be dead. You follow me, people? So once again, back to the story, all these souls are tormented in hell because they have these super, super long spoons, and they're all too busy trying to be greedy, trying to feed themselves, right? And so they can't get the spoon into their mouth because the spoon's just too long and the handle's 10 feet long and their arms don't extend that long. So here they are with all this food, and they're being tormented by this food because they can't feed themselves. Now, meanwhile, the opposite side of the spectrum is the other half of the people, they die and they go to heaven, and even though the spoons are 10 feet long, they're scooping up the food, but they're feeding their neighbor sitting 5 feet away from them. They're helping each other. Key words, they're helping each other, okay, people? And this is a resource-based economy. It's that simple. Now, people might go, well, that's good. That's a good analogy and that's a good story, but that doesn't help me now. Once again, people, okay, if you're not willing to die for what is right, you're just going to make matters more worse for your children and their children and so on and so forth. And this slavery of a shortage and everything, the world's a crisis and all that stuff, everything will always be in turmoil. The only way it'll never be in turmoil, and the powers that be know this, is that you can't get 2 people or 5 people or 10 people to play in the same sandbox and agree, right? And everybody has to be right and everybody's wrong, and I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm sorry, people, but that's not how things work. You know, at the long table with the 10 feet spoons, yeah, they can't, their arms aren't long enough to get the spoon into their mouth, but they're helping to assist feed each other, okay, people? My spoon's 10 feet long. I can reach you across this camera and give you a loving spoonful. It's that simple. And again, people say, well, you know, that's not the society we live in. Well, you know, it's like a story like this. I was dating this girl, and her mother said, "Oh, you and your friends there, you can't change the world." Right off the bat, listen to the context here, the conversation, right? You know, and that's what I'm like. You go to church? Oh yeah. She starts getting all proud and prideful, and I'm like, you worship a guy named Jesus? Oh yeah, I love Jesus. God bless Jesus. And I said, well, wasn't he one guy? Yeah. Didn't one guy come along and try to change the world? Yeah. I said, so why are you coming off like this, which is so uncouth, telling me not to try to change the world so that we can have a better world? Like, he who plants trees growing up, knowing that he may never see the full fruit of these trees, is wise, because he knows that these trees and the fruit off these trees will help future generations. So you have to be willing to pay the price, whatever that price is. And you have to remember, this is not my will. I'm not some crazy crazy guy espousing information out of nowhere that just, I'm going to mislead everybody and, tell people that everything's roses because they're not, right? We don't live in a bed of roses. And even if life were a bowl of cherries, you still have the pits in them. Okay, people? So you have to take the ups with the downs. But all this nonsense, like if you're not willing to die for change, and don't get me wrong, yes, I understand a lot of you have children and stuff, but are you willing to sell your soul so that you can feed your children? What kind of example would that be if you're selling your soul so that you can feed your children, and then your children grow up realizing that you're a thief and you were a liar and everything you espoused to them was a lie? Does that make you a good individual or a good person, I guess, right? I'm not talking legal terms here, just in common sense terms, terms we understand. And it's that simple. So once again, you're back to the spoon. In a resourced economy, man, I grab the spoon and I can help you. I can scoop up the food and I can help you. But in hell, they're all tormented because they're all greedy and they're trying to feed themselves and the spoons don't reach their mouths. And it's that simple, people. I cannot emphasize this enough. The truth is simple, and anything that is convoluted is complex, and it's designed to be complex. It's designed so that you don't understand, you don't know what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to be doing it. And we run around living in a world where, like, did you get the message? And you look at message and it has two words, mess and age. You reverse the supposition and we have age of the mess. And we're back to the age of the mess, and you have all these demonstrators, just look at the word demonstrators. It's right in there, two words, demons and traders. And you look at these words, and they are constantly trying to deliver a convoluted message back to cons with a certain context, which is not a good text. They're delivering, a message, not relivering, not relive. They are deliving a message that is uncouth and is totally preposterous and is nothing but sheer lies, insanity, and fraud. And these people are robbers. These demonstrators are thieves of your happiness. They're robbers. They're thieves of your unhappiness. And this all comes out of Sun Tzu. Like I'm putting a little more into context for you, but this all comes out of Sun Tzu. You pretend like your enemies, you buddy up with your enemies, pretending that you're their friends, and you feed them cocaine and alcohol, and you get them hooked on everything, and life is a big party, and you pretend to be their friend, and you're like, I love you, man, you're my best friend, you just gave me 10 lines of cocaine and a bottle of Jack, and I love you, man, and I'm having the time of my life. But are you having the time of your life? Your enemies are killing you without you even being aware that you're being killed because you don't understand the message. And if you did understand the message, you would say, whoa, we have two words here, mess and age. We're in the age of the mess. So I'm not going to babble too long. I'll keep this video short and sweet. This will be my last video for the day. If anybody's got any comments, questions, I will address them in a video format for you guys, and I'll do my best, and that's that. But as far as this, like, well, how am I going to live and how am I going to support myself? I don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and who would I be to tell you anyhow? I can't tell you. But I can tell you which isn't my solution, it's life's solution. It's the universal cosmic creator solution to the mess, which is if we all grab those super long spoons, we can help feed each other. But the art of war and the people, the powers that be that run this stuff, they know that our spoons are too long to feed ourselves. But they're also aware that our spoons are so long that we're not going to help feed our neighbors. We're not going to reach over with the spoon and go, here's the end of the spoon, put it in your mouth. And unfortunately, this is how things are. And this is why things perpetuate, and they perpetuated so long that they're allowed to be this way. Okay, people? So I don't want to get too crazy with things, but this is the story. Once again, everybody goes to hell. And the people, the spoons are so long they can't feed themselves because the spoons are just simply too long, and they're tormented by all this delicious, beautiful food that's been presented in front of them on the tables. And the other people who die and go to heaven, they say, instead of trying to feed themselves, they're feeding everybody else. And it takes a village to raise a child, okay, people? Not just a set of parents, okay, people? So it's that simple. Like, when I was a kid, like, we used to run through everybody's backyards and stuff as children and raid their gardens, and yeah, and oh, who's that in the backyard? Oh, it's just me, it's Mark. Oh, okay, well, if you're eating my cucumbers, just make sure you're taking what you need. Absolutely, Mrs. So-and-so. See the difference here, people? Try that nowadays, and it'll be, oh, some weirdos in my yard, officer, come arrest these kids. You see where I'm going with this, people? The solution is simpler than the problem, and nowadays everything has been taken out of context because we live in a world where they all watch their televisions, and they're watching these lies with their vision, and it's called programming because they'll say the same thing over and over and over again. And if you repeat the same thing over and over again, like somebody says to you while you're growing up all your life, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. Chances are you're going to grow up thinking and assuming that you're a piece of shit, okay? We've had enough of this. It doesn't work. It doesn't serve us. And it no longer serves anybody. It never has, and it never will. And that's called greed. And so I just wanted to espouse this, like, what is it? I'm trying to think. Anyhow, I'm watching, like, somebody watches this TV show, and it's always the same thing. Like, you watch a commercial, liberty, 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 liberty. They repeat the same phrase and the same phrase, and then they call that brainwashing. And when you repeat the same thing and you keep hearing about it, even though you keep seeing Trump on the news, oh, Trump's an asshole, Trump's awesome, Trump's an asshole, Trump's awesome, people are going to go, Trump's awesome, liberty, liberty, or Trump's an asshole, and then they're also going to start to hate this guy, right? Which espouses hate. We've had enough of this hate-filled world. It doesn't work. It doesn't serve us at all. Look around. There's nothing but death, war, famine, grief, strife. What words would you like me to use? So please, people, get out of the context. Get out of the message, the age of the mess, and please come out of Babylon, babble, 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 unless ye want to partake in her sins. Okay, people? So I can't emphasize this enough. Just remember the analogy of everybody goes to hell with the long spoons and they can't feed themselves, or they go to heaven with the long spoons and they can feed themselves. And yes, people will say, well, that's great, and that's a great analogy, and that doesn't help us now. Change starts with one kind little act. It's not a huge act. It's one little act. Like the mighty oceans, they're compiled of kabajillions and kabajillion droplets of water, and this is what comes together to form a river or an ocean. Is one little act of this little water droplet, one little act of that water droplet combined. Next thing you know, you have a puddle. Next thing you know, you have a lake, you have rivers, you have oceans. This is the way things go, and this is how change is, okay, people? So back to the parable of Jesus. Whether he was here or not, I couldn't give a shit. That's irrelevant to me. But I tried to follow that doctrine of the Second Testament, which was feed your neighbors, help your neighbors, teach them how to fish. Don't just give them a fish and be selfish because you're trying to sell them a fish because they can't afford to buy a fish to begin with. Hence the word selfish, right? You see where I'm going with this? So you can give a fish or you can sell a fish, okay, people? I could go on with this stuff for months and days, but like in my world, it gets boring and it grows old. I'd rather play a guitar, take my dog for a walk, visit my mother. That's how I am, okay, people? So I hope this video finds everybody well. And do note that, like, if you don't like Walmart, stop shopping at Walmart. And I don't want to hear the powers that be. If you want to support the powers and you get screwed, well, you've screwed yourself. If you want to run with Satan, you'll be in hell, and the spoon will be too long for you, and you'll be tormented by everything that's around, but yet you won't be able to feed yourself because the spoon won't reach your mouth. But if you don't want to be greedy and you don't want to be selfish because you're not trying to sell a fish, you're out there showing mankind how to teach themselves how to fish, and you're helping them learn how to fish, well, then that's what's going to make the world a better place. So you have a choice. You can be selfish and you can run with the devil and you can have the world by the tail and you can have your fast cars and 10 jumbo jets in your yard and 1,000 helicopters and 10 million Cadillacs. Or you can be free of all that nonsense and simply help one another. And you will find out that when you start manifesting, if you have a true desire to manifest and you're not thinking about greed and how I'm going to get my share and stuff, you'll notice that things will start falling. They'll land right on your doorstep. You might be hungry and your neighbor might come over and say, hey, I have an extra turkey in my fridge. And they won't even know that you're going hungry. This is what you call manifesting, okay, people? So you can either manifest fear or you can manifest peace and love, okay? I can't emphasize this enough, okay? So I'm going to leave it at that. I send everybody green lights, even the people who hate me, the people who love me. I don't care. That's on them, But like, I truly love people. I don't hate people, even Trump. I don't hate him. I don't hate these people. DeSantis. I don't hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't hate these people. Personally, I hope the grace of God finds these people and they get out of the message and they get away from the context of this message and that they come out of Babylon. And it's peace and love and loving your neighbor that is going to help the world go around. And if you just want to be greedy and what am I going to do if I give up my citizenship? I'm sorry, people, I'm not God. I cannot answer these questions for you, okay? But in a resource-based economy, if we all come together, we can help each other. And some might say, well, not everybody's going to come together, and that's fine. They're not your crowd. You don't want to deal with them. Again, you're back to manifesting. You want to manifest the crowd that you'd like to be with, or would you like to manifest the crowd where they're like, you're just going to be a piece of shit growing up all your life, right? Is this what you want, right? It's like, say, two kids. We'll take the alcoholic story. Two kids grow up and their parents are alcoholics, and they're, whether the parents beat them or not or whatever, that's all irrelevant. But at the end of the day, the one kid, he goes to jail, and they're like, well, why are you in jail? Well, my father was abusive and my father was an alcoholic. And then you have the other kid who comes out and becomes a doctor and saves lives. And they say, why did you become a doctor? Because my father was an alcoholic and I didn't want to be like that, and I wanted to save lives. So life is a choice. You make your choices, you make your bed, and you live in your bed. And sometimes life, it might give you a bowl of cherries, but you're still going to have the pits. It's all how you look at things, and it's all how your perception is. And if you want to fly with God, you take an O out of good and you have God, okay, people? So you can fly with the universal cosmic creative waitress, which is about life and rejuvenation of life and stuff. Or you can fly with Satan, which is about how many cars you own and Ferraris and Testarossas and all that stuff, and the death that it's going to rot and bring on people, okay, people? So anyhow, I'm babbling. I'd like to get out of Babylon right now. Till then, keep your heads up, your sticks on the ice. Namaste, cheers. And well, till then, keep your heads up, your sticks on the ice. Cheers, bye, peace, and God bless.